So basically just go buy a house and then see what happens.
What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here, and so in today's video I got a special treat. I'm going to be introducing you to a new friend of mine, a new character on my channel, Tom. And so I've known Tom for a few years now, and actually Tom's one of the reasons I started documenting my entire real estate investing journey. I might not be on YouTube if it wasn't for Tom, but anyways, we'll get into that into another video. Today's video, I just kind of wanted to introduce you guys to who Tom is, what he's about, all that great stuff, because I think you need to learn more about what Tom's doing, because he's crushing it right now. And so in particular, what I really love about Tom's journey is he's an apprentice carpenter. He got into real estate investing because he had the skill set to fix up properties. He started without really knowing a lot about investing in real estate, which is kind of cool because a lot of us, that's how we get started with this. We go through the school of hard knocks. Now, because of the internet and information technology and all that great stuff, you don't have to go through the school of hard knocks, but I just thought it'd be great to document Tom, his journey, and just what he's been up to the last couple of years, because he's found out a great way to kind of do that lean fire as well as just kind of slow travel. And recently on one of his slow travels, he actually met a girl from Brazil who was living in Ireland. It's a whole story. Anyways, he's going to dive into it throughout the video series, but just know, I think Tom is someone that a lot of people on my YouTube channel would aspire to become, to aspire to his lifestyle, as well as just, he's a very calm, level-headed individual. I like hanging out with Tom. If you guys remember Paul Plumstead from my On Fire podcast, well, actually, I guess Tom's also been on the podcast. So just jump over to the On Fire podcast. Check out the episode with Tom if you want more background on Tom. Otherwise, there'll be more videos coming out shortly on my YouTube channel featuring Tom and his journey. But if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Otherwise, I'm just gonna let Tom take it away. So let's get into Tom's backstory.
Hi, my name's Thomas Forsyth. I am a journeyman carpenter from London, Ontario. I'm going to talk a little bit about my background in investing in real estate and carpentry work. I bought my first house about 4 years ago, just 2 houses down from this property. At the time, I was working as a laborer for a General Contractor. We would do a lot of house renovations already, so I had a good knowledge of renovating houses. So I was just working for him. It felt like a dead-end job because it was just a laborer position at a General Contractor. And then I found out about the Carpentry Apprenticeship here in Ontario, Canada, where basically you register as an apprentice under an employer that signs off on you, and you have an interview with Ontario Trades to make sure that your job qualifies for the apprenticeship. So now that I was working this dead-end job, now I'm actually working towards my carpentry ticket. So you work as an apprentice for about 3 to 4 years, and you go to school for 2 months during the winter every year, where you're taught all the fundamentals of carpentry and building houses and concrete and everything carpentry pretty much. So I was able to use that knowledge to help renovate these houses. So I bought my first house not knowing anything about investing. I was just a carpenter laborer, and I spent 10 months of evenings and weekends renovating my first house. I got it all renovated, passed all the inspections and everything, and then I got it rented out, and I became a landlord, and I got to learn the whole process of dealing with tenants and tenant issues. And my first tenants weren't very good. I just went off just a bit of chemistry we had when we met. I didn't do much reference checks or any of that stuff, so I had tons of problems right off the gate. They were slow on payments. They were cranking the air conditioning. Bills were a lot higher than I was expecting, and they would invite people over to do laundry in their house and all the typical stuff. So eventually they stopped payment, and then they wanted to move out within the first 3 or 4 months, which was crazy. And then they convinced me to let their mother's boyfriend and her brother to move in to this house, so it could offset the cost. So I said, okay, that's fine, we'll just redo the lease and all that stuff. So then they moved in, and then it was just a nightmare because they were young, and then now their mother and father were living with them, so there's drama. So then they stopped paying again, so then I had to take them to landlord-tenant board and get them evicted. And then it was just a whole nightmare, and eventually just left, and they still owe me money, but they're out. And So that was my first house. And
do you mind talking about that a bit more? Like, was any of that critical? Like, did it destroy you financially? Was it something you could survive?
It didn't destroy me financially because they only owed like $1,000 or $2,000 at the end of the 2 years I had them. A year and a half they were living there, so it didn't really ruin me. The cash flow in the house was pretty good. I was able to change the lease so that they had to pay the utilities, so all the utilities was in their name. But it was just a big learning curve of how to do all the landlord forms and the proper N11s to get them to move out, and then going to the landlord hearing board and sitting through that process. I got lucky they didn't show up to the landlord 10 board, and that's like the best outcome, because then the court just sides with you, and then they start the paperwork to get them evicted. It never actually came down to that. They actually ended up paying what they owed, but then two of the new roommates or whatever just left them high and dry, and then the other people couldn't afford it, so then they just moved out and said they would pay me, but they never did, so I'm not waiting for it anymore. So yeah, and then after that house was done, renovated, rented out, I was broke again because I spent all my money renovating this house, and I went back to work and I just started saving money again, but it was taking forever. Because it takes a long time to save up a down payment. And then I learned about the BRRRR method, which everyone, I'm sure you're watching this, has heard this before. Is where you buy a house, you renovate it, you rent it out to some tenants, and then you take that lease to the bank, and you're able to refinance the mortgage because you've increased the value and now it produces money. So the bank calculates all the numbers, and then you basically get a new mortgage at a higher value, and you're able to pull out hopefully all the money you put into it, so you're able to get your down payment and all the renovations cost out through the refinance, even after all the fees and everything for the refinance, and you get to keep the house, which is amazing investing strategy, which I think everyone should be using, because you're able to buy an asset and quickly get your money out of the asset, and then you get to keep it. So that thing's still making you money, and you have all your money out, so then you can buy your second house, which I'm doing for here. So I'm using that money to buy this house. I'm gonna renovate it, rent it out, refinance, and then I'm gonna buy the third house and then the fourth house, and then you just keep doing that until you're financially independent, because you can just live off the rental income from your properties, and Bob's drunk. Everyone's happy. So, do
you mind talking about how did you discover financial independence?
Basically, it was the first thing was meeting you guys like 2 years ago is when the term actually came up, and then they all started talking about Mr. Money Mustache, and read his blog, and then you read a few of his articles, and then you've learned that it's possible to just live off your investments as long as you have a high savings rate, you save your money. That's the biggest thing, save your fucking money, because if you save up enough money, that money makes you money, and then you don't have to work the jobs you don't want to work. Like, I'm still gonna work, but I get to pick the jobs I want to do. Like, if I just want to build a deck and fence, that's fine, that's cool, because I like working outdoors and all that, but my bills are paid through my other investments, so which allows me to do basically anything I want. I love to travel too, so I spent several months last year just traveling around the world. So my long-term goal is to have enough rental properties, paying all my bills where I can travel around the world, and just live off that income, and just keep my expenses really low. Traveling can be expensive, but I'm a young backpacker, so I don't mind staying in hostels for too much.
I guess, so just before we wrap up, any tips you would give to someone that's maybe where you were 4 or 5 years ago?
You just have to take action. You gotta buy a house, you gotta get dirty, you gotta try to fix stuff yourself, and then if you can't fix it, then you bring in the professional. You gotta learn the skills, or at least have the knowledge, or watch the other professionals that do the work, because a lot of it is pretty simple once you understand how it's done. You just need to have a network or good trades to come in and help you out on your renovation process. But just buy a house, try to fix it up. Don't get too worried. Just do the math. Try to do the math. I was never good with numbers. I just saw a cheap house, and I never even knew what the rent in the area was when I first bought my house. But it all comes down to self-education on knowing the numbers and the process of renovations. But if you're just getting started, find other investors that are doing it, try to shadow them, see what they're doing. If they have contractors, just go help out those contractors, volunteer, just be just start as a laborer, just helping remove garbage and stuff, and then you can just see the process of how a renovation comes together, and all the steps that are required. And once you have that foundation, you can just take that and start buying houses, and you know the process of how long things take and how much they should cost just through experience. So basically just go and buy a house and then see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom.
Yeah, no problem.
And so I guess, is there anything you want to plug? Or like...
Not really, I just have my Instagram account.
Do you want to just mention that, just so that we have it?
Yeah, I got my Instagram. I'm pretty sure it's Big T. I'll probably have to text you what the actual name is. But I post a bunch of my renovation stuff and my travel stories because I love to travel. I'm leaving for Iceland on August 18th. So I have roughly 3 months to finish this renovation, get it rented out, turned over, happy tenants, and then I can go take a little break, go travel the world some more, and take it easy for a bit, and then come back home, refinance the property, get my money out, and then start all over again, work for 5-6 months, and then go travel the world again. I'm actually heading to Brazil in November because I now have a Brazilian girlfriend, and we're gonna go stay at her mom's place down in Curitiba, and then hopefully travel around South America with her, and it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's all possible thanks to a high savings rate, and then using that savings to invest in real estate, which allows me the freedom to travel the world and be happy and all that. So yeah.
Awesome. Sweet, thanks Tom.
Yeah, no problem.
So that video was great, am I right? If you agree with me, smash that like button. Otherwise, one thing I kind of want to talk to you guys about is I'm thinking about doing more in-depth video series on just different investors. I really enjoy it. It's a great way for me to build content as well as create different flavors of similar subject matters. So, you know, the way I burr isn't necessarily going to be the exact same way everyone else burrs. So I think there's value in doing these different video series. I would love for you guys to tell me in the comment section down below as well. Are you a real estate investor or aspiring real estate investor? Would you like me to document your journey? Because I need more individuals to document on their real estate investing journey. So definitely reach out to me. Just hit me up in the comment section or DM me on Instagram, and let's figure out if there's a way to get you on my YouTube channel. Otherwise, until next time, remember guys, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks guys, bye!